Good afternoon. Happy New Year. Welcome to Spartan Life Radio. Sunday afternoon, my name is Cheryl Wilkerson. I thank you so much for joining us. I realize that you do not have to do it. And so again, I say thank you. We've got a great show coming up for you today. And we're going to get things started right now. I'm talking to a young lady. She went to Norfolk State University. She's well known in the community. She's getting things done in the community. Her family is well known in the community. We say hello to Keisha Hawkins. How are you today?
Good afternoon. I am doing great. Happy New Year, all that good stuff.
That's right. That's right. So people in the 757 and beyond, but people concentrated here in the 757 know you either from one of your businesses or one avenue of your life or another avenue of your life. So let's start with this. You went to Norfolk State University. Why did you go to Norfolk State University?
Well, I went to Norfolk State because it was close by. I grew up in Portsmouth, graduated from the old Norcom. And so I was looking not to be too far away from home because I was a parent at the time with my oldest son. And so I wanted to be fairly close to home, also wanted to go to an HBCU. And then Norfolk State also offered me a full ride. So it kind of all made sense to end up at Norfolk State.
It does. And what did you study here at Norfolk State University?
I studied business, so I graduated with my business management degree in 1998. Mm-hmm.
And you always knew you wanted to go into business? That wasn't a big thing? Because, some people come to any university and they try one thing and that's not them and they try something else. You always knew it was business?
I always knew it was business. I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit, didn't know exactly what I was going to do or where it was going to land me, but I knew that was definitely the degree I wanted to use because of its diversification and what I may eventually end up doing years from now. And pretty much that's kind of where I landed. So, yeah, it all worked out.
That's kind of like you put it in the universe and it comes back to you, right?
That's exactly what has happened. Yes, ma'am.
So take us along the ride of life. So you left Norfolk State University, and what did you do next?
Okay, so I left Norfolk State University, and I started out in a management program over at Walmart. Mm-hmm. So I did probably about a little less than a year over at Walmart. Realized very quickly that I did not like working weekends. So I decided that I was coming up out of that management program where I was working crazy hours, including weekends. And I ended up stumbled into a position with the federal government where I just recently retired. I just retired in October 4th of 2021.
Wow.
Thank you. So I did contracting. I was a contracting officer for the federal government for almost 23 years, where I negotiated and wrote IT contracts and signed contracts up to $10 million with my signature. So it was a very stressful job, one that definitely allowed me to be able to take care of my family and do things that needed to be done, but definitely something I was looking to get out of and get into something more purposeful and walking in my purpose, I felt like.
Keisha, you have to help people like myself. When you are explaining about you were writing these contracts, I don't know what that means. My brain doesn't understand. No, I'm serious because I am such a whatever other type of brain there is. I don't know what that means. Explain it to me.
So basically, when you have a government contract, right? Let's just say you're bidding on something with the government. In order for a contract to be solidified, there has to be a contracting officer who makes sure that everything is legally sound, that the money is the proper kind of money to ensure that the contract is written clearly so that whomever is winning the contract understands what the requirements of the contract are. So I was the person that was responsible for ensuring the statement of works were solidified and making sure that the money was right and making sure that all the moving parts of the contract worked the way they were supposed to. And then once all of that was done, I was the person that said, okay, if this contract is $9 million, here is my signature to say that the government is good, this is a good contract, and we're going to move forward with this particular company. So that is what I did for almost 23 years. Yes.
Okay, so that works better in my mind, the way you explain it. Because really, when I'm telling you my shortfalls, they are really my shortfalls. But, okay, and you learned how to do that basically as a business major at Norfolk State University, right?
For the most part, yes, because it's funny how I even stumbled into the job. I've always been one of those people who just went after whatever I wanted. I was one of those people that didn't take no for an answer. My motto in life for myself has always been persistence overrides resistance. So to be quite honest, I didn't even know what a contracting officer was. I went back to the Career Center at Norfolk State University when I had kind of gotten fed up with the management position at Walmart, and they had a job offer, and they were saying that they were looking for someone that had a 3.5 GPA. You know, there were good benefits. Like I said, I was a single mom at the time, and I knew I needed good benefits. And so I went in there, and the guy that interviewed me when it was all over, he said, I just love you. You're such a, a beacon of light, and you have so much energy. And he said, but do you even really know what you're interviewing for? And I was honest. I said, no. I said, it said good benefits Monday through Friday. I had to have a 3.5. I have a 3.5. And so he said, I absolutely appreciate your honesty. You'll be hearing from us in a few weeks. And so that's how it all started. And like I said, it allowed me to do some of everything for my family. The pay was wonderful. The benefits, health benefits and everything were wonderful. But I just realized as I started getting more seasoned that I really wanted to do something that was more fulfilling. And so I just took that leap of faith. In October of last year, I said, I'm doing early retirement. You only needed 20 years to be vested, and so I had done almost 23, and so I started working on my exit strategy, and I am no longer employed with the federal government.
But, okay, so was that a part of your master plan to only stay a certain number of years to get vested, or did that just happen upon you? Did you just one day you're like, you know what, I think I've done enough? Well, I always wanted to retire by the time I was 50. That was always my goal. Didn't know if I would reach that goal. I actually beat that goal because I retired at 46. But I always knew I wanted to retire at 50. Didn't know exactly what that would look like. But I've always been very money conscious. I've always lived on a budget. I've been on a budget since I was 15 years old. And so I just set myself up to be financially free and to be successful, and I've taught my children to do the same. So I just felt like it was time for me to go. I started doing my research to find out what I needed to do in order to retire early to make sure that I would still be able to get my benefits. When that age came that I could draw them, I wouldn't be penalized for anything. And it just made sense for this to be the time that I kind of just stepped out on faith and started doing my own thing. My oldest now is married with children, is doing very well, and my baby boy is on a full academic scholarship at North Carolina A&T in the second semester of his junior year, studying business as well. Actually, both of my boys went in business. So, so it was kind of like a faith walk. It was kind of like, I'm tired of doing this. I'm ready to go really walk in my purpose now and do some different things. And so everything else lined up. And so I just took that leap of faith, and here I am. Yeah. If you're just joining us, I'm speaking to Keisha Hawkins. She's been so kind to join us on this Sunday afternoon. And so can you please tell us all about Roadmap to a Full Ride? Can you tell us all about that? Absolutely. So in 2019, when my son was in the process of trying to finalize where he was going to end up for college, I had a lot of parents coming to me just asking me, how did you do this? How did you do that? Oh, my God. That information you have, people would pay for that. I was just trying to help a lot of his basketball friends and friends that were in our circle and their kids get situated for school. And I found out that a lot of people were just clueless. We had kind of started on this journey with Malik probably around 5th or 6th grade, kind of mapping out what he needed to do to ensure he would be in position to get a full ride. So when 2019 came, Malik made national news. I'm sure plenty of people probably saw it, as a kid from Chesapeake, Virginia, graduating from Grassville High School that had over $1.2 million in scholarship offers. That was my kid, my baby boy, Malik Hawkins. And so from that point on, realizing that there were just so many of us, for sure, who just had no clue as to what was required
from what the kids needed to have to be competitive to how to fill out the applications, understanding the FAFSA, just everything needed in order to ensure our children have the opportunity to even go to college and then to go to college and come out debt-free. So I decided I would launch something that would help with that particular situation. And so that's how Roadmap to a Full Ride was birthed. It was birthed in 2019 as a program that I put in place, established a curriculum and everything, so that parents would be able to have access to the tools and resources necessary to ensure their kids had every opportunity to be successful. So once I retired in October of last year, I decided I would take Roadmap to a Full Ride to the next level. I got my website built, and so now I'm pretty much doing that full time.
Now, when you are talking about this roadmap and you're helping students go to college, is this first time students going to college? Is this people going to grad school? Is this people trying to get their doctorate? Who are we helping here?
I'm helping everyone. My target audience is honestly to get children as early as sixth grade. Because honestly, if we're not starting there early, we're already behind. Because other people who don't look like us, that's when they start. Sometimes they start in first grade. But sixth grade is a really good time to really get started because it allows you to set up your curriculum and your program and your roadmap. Leading up into high school, which is going to take you through high school, which is going to give you everything you need in order to be totally competitive to increase your chances of getting into your top college choices and getting those scholarship offers. So I prefer to get my clients as early as sixth grade, but honestly, most of my clientele is high school age, right around 10th and 11th grade. However, I do have clients that have come to me for graduate school. I have clients that have come to me for doctoral programs. You do not have to be a first-time student. The information I have is available to anyone who's willing to pay for it. But definitely I have built the program, per se, around trying to help families get started and ensure they're on the right path so that they will have all of these opportunities that some of my clients have had and definitely that my son had when he was heading into college. So,
well, you know, I think that you are right because many parents don't understand this whole process until their child is in the thick of it. And from what I understand, it's an entire job when you are trying to get your student into a college or university. What is required from these colleges and universities to gather all of this information and everything? That's a job. That's after you've, like you said, you've done the work and you've made the grades and you've done this and you were the debate team president. To put all this stuff together is a job.
It is. It's a full-time job. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so many parents, I'm sure, feel overwhelmed.
Absolutely. And to be quite honest, I have clients that come back to me during different phases of the process. So, for example, and most of my clients are not even in Virginia. Most of my stuff is done via teleconference. You know, some people prefer Zoom, but oftentimes it's just a simple teleconference. But it just depends on where they are in the process. So for one of my latest clients, she hired me 3 times. So her son had been homeschooled. So she had no idea about how any of this stuff really worked. And so they came to me the summer going into their 11th grade year. We worked on everything, getting him ready up until that point. Then they came back to me during his 12th grade year. And then we just recently finished working on all of his scholarship requirements and getting all of his scholarship databases built. So now all he has to do is just apply for everything. But she just notified me that he got into his number one college choice.
Wonderful.
And he received a significant amount of money. So, yes, my program definitely works. I'm a lot less expensive than a lot of the other companies out here that are doing the exact same thing. And the reason for that is I know I'm trying to help people who look like me. And I know sometimes we don't have pockets as deep as some others in order to get the information that we really, really, really need. So,
Keisha, can you talk to I've forgotten the name of it, but can you talk to the scandal that took place a few years ago where you had the rich people buying their children into school? Can you just address that? Because I'm sure that shook a lot of parents and students as well.
It definitely did. And the thing is, that happens a lot. We just don't know about it. They kind of got caught, you know? And so it speaks to that we can be, you know, once again, those that kind of look like us, you know, we can be the cream of the crop. But if we don't always have the money required or know the right people, our kids still may not get the opportunities that some others get that can afford to pay their way into certain things. Unfortunately, that's the way of the world. We can't always control all of those things that happen. But what we can do is just make sure that our ducks are in a row and our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted so that we can be amongst those of the cream of the crop. For example, my son Malik is a perfect example. You know, he had a 4.5 coming out of college. His resume was long from activities, community service, taking those AP classes, taking honors classes, you know, doing all the things that would set him apart or make him look on paper like somebody that he's not because of what it looks like if a name wasn't on the resume. You understand what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So that's what I'm saying. A lot of times we're not proactive, we're reactive. And when we become reactive, it's too late. So starting early is the name of the game. And it's important to get started early. And sometimes we also don't realize where to spend money. Like sometimes we'll focus on, you know, entertainment and the latest fashion where we need to be spending some of that money just making sure our kids have what they need, you know, and have the information and resources necessary. And oftentimes that's not put on the top of our priority list when it should be. So
is that
I'm hoping to change that narrative.
Do you think that's because parents don't know any better, or do you think that's because that's just what they choose to do?
I think it's a combination. I mean, we all prioritize what's important to us, and everybody's priorities don't line up the same. So, you know, someone who's focused on family and, you know, definitely want to make sure our kids have every opportunity to be successful, we're going to put things in place and do that to make sure that happens. And other times it is we don't know. You know, we've been raised a certain way or we've only seen one certain thing.
Right.
So when somebody presents us something else, then some of us may jump on board while others may not see the importance in it. So I think we have to have a mind shift across the board where we realize that we know all our kids are not going to go to college, and that's not the only way to be successful in life. I definitely tell people that, you know, I have parents that get to arguing in sessions, even with the kids. Because sometimes in a 2-hour session, you may find out that college is not the way they want to go. And that's perfectly okay. There's trade schools. There's all other kinds of options. But the point is making sure we sit down and have those conversations with our kids to see what their focus is and what we think they may want to do. And then support them in that, you know?
While you're saying that, a picture is forming in my head of a family coming to you and sitting down with you, and you quickly realize that this student does not want to go to college, and you also realize that the parent is adamant that they're going to college. And so at that point, do you interject and do you try to help the parent understand? Because if a child doesn't want to do well in school, if they don't want to go to school, they're not going to do well in school. I don't think those cases happen too often. Usually, if they don't want to do it, they're not going to do it, right?
That's pretty true. And sometimes kids don't really know what they want.
Okay, that's good.
And I act also as a mediator in those cases. You know, some of my sessions have been very hilarious. There have been tears in my sessions. There have been lots of laughter in my session. There have been aha moments. Like, you name it, I pretty much have experienced it in a session since 2019. But what I will say is no matter which way it goes, everyone leaves with an appreciation for what I'm doing. Because sometimes parents don't know how to have those tough conversations with their kids. Right. You know, and me being a mutual party, you know, they're like, I asked her that. She never said that to me. You know, I asked him that. I told him that. I told him the same exact thing you're talking. Well, how many times have we had to hear something from even us growing up, had to hear something from someone else that our parents told us? You know, sometimes it's just hearing another voice or hearing it a different way or putting a different spin on it, or realizing that the person on the other side of the table having the conversation, you know, doesn't have a dog in the fight. You know, they're just really here trying to help you figure it out. Because sometimes kids feel like their parents are trying to sway them one way or the other. And so I've had to have that conversation with parents and say, look, you might want him to be a doctor, but he might want to be a truck driver.
And it's nothing wrong with being a truck driver.
Correct. Correct.
So I am speaking with Keisha Hawkins. She has a wonderful consulting business. You all need to check it out. A full ride, roadmap to a full ride. So what you said earlier, something stuck with me. You were talking about graduating debt free. Now we've got to be honest. That is huge. I saw a meme, Keisha, I don't even know if this is true, but I just saw a meme the other day and it said, oh, I see why the federal government won't or won't cancel out student debt, because if they do that, the average Black American, their value would increase by $40,000. And I started thinking to myself, But I do know that billionaire Robert Smith, when he went and canceled the debt of those students at Morehouse and the debt of their parents, he did that for a reason, because that college debt, it's just overwhelming from what I understand.
It is. It is one of the highest loan debts. It's one of the highest loan debts. Exactly. It's trillions of dollars in student loan debt. And what has happened is most people die still owing student loan debt. And what happened is a generational thing. It's a generational thing. So a lot of my clients, when they bring their children to me, they're still sitting in thousands and thousands and thousands of student loan debt. So here we are, a generational thing. It just happens one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, and that's what happens. But, those things affect your credit score. It affects your debt-to-income ratio. It affects whether you can buy a house or not, and how much of a house you can afford to buy, if you can get a car, and how much of a car it goes on and on. It's all connected. And so if we can kill the curse of student loan debt, imagine what we would be able to accomplish in America, in the Black community. Because
Keisha, I think
we are the ones that carry the most debt. And in addition to that, it's female African Americans that carry the most debt.
I think that you've hit it dead on the head, because I think that someone who's walking around with, just say, $100,000 in debt, school loans, right? That affects their entire life for the rest of their life. That is huge. So all those things that you just mentioned, the car and the house or what, put all of that in a pot and look in the pot, and you will see this student loan is going to affect all of that. Where I can buy my house, what neighborhood, what schools my children will go to, all of these things, because I have started out with this debt. And I know that there are young people out there and they have debt and they're afraid. They're scared to death to get into this debt. But society has said, you got to go to school. You got to do this. You got to do that to get ahead. So how are we getting ahead if we're getting into all this debt?
Exactly. Yeah, and so now the debate has been lately, is a degree really worth it? Because you have so many people. The average student loan debt is probably about $30,000 to $40,000 per year. So if you do 4 years at $40,000, what's that? 120, 12. Actually, that's $160,000. If you're doing 4 years at $40,000, okay. And then even if you do 20 years, 20, 40, 60, that's $80,000. So let's just take an average. $100,000 is what most people are coming out owing. And how many career fields are you going into where your salary is $100,000 a year?
Right.
So you're already upside down, on what you're making to even be able to pay those loans back. So now the latest debate has been, should we even go to college? Because is it worth it when you're sitting in all of this student loan debt and you're paying it for the next 40 years or more, or you die with it, because you can never get it paid off. And then, like I said, the debt-to-income ratio as to what it is you can qualify for. When it's time to start buying things, whether you're getting your first apartment or buying your first house or buying your first car, and depending upon where you're going to live, because the cost of living in Hampton Roads is going to be a little bit less than it is in D.C., But as you can see, even now with that, we're catching up over there. Look at the house prices right now.
Yeah.
So it all plays a part, and that's why now, a lot of kids have now been going towards trades where they can get a certification or pick up a trade and start, making money while they're already in school, getting paid to go to school. Or, just knowing what their income is going to look like as soon as they're done with their certification or a shorter time dedicated to school, 18 months, 12 months versus 4 years or whatever the case may be. So there are so many options. There's so many ways to get there. There's so many ways that we can be successful. So a roadmap to a full ride is just one way that we can definitely eliminate the debt, give people the tools and resources they need to ensure they're on the right path, and to even open up other opportunities in the event college is not the route they want to go.
And
good. So that's what Roadmap to a Full Ride is. It's a one-stop shop where you can get all the knowledge and resources you need. I teach people how to fish, but I also give them some fish to get started. So
now, getting back to those loans, is it true that I've heard that the worst thing to do is to take out a private loan for college? Is that have I heard that right?
It just depends on the situation.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of different ways to pay for college, especially let's just use a scenario that you are getting financial aid, which we all know financial aid is hard to get if you make over $50,000 or $60,000, because for whatever reason they feel like you can afford to pay for school if you make $50,000 or $60,000. I think that's very ludicrous, but that's what they use a lot of times for your FAFSA, unless you're going to an Ivy League where they allow you to make a little bit more. Oftentimes, if you make over $50,000 or $60,000, you're probably not getting much in financial aid. But let's just use a scenario. Let's use a scenario that you are someone who got financial aid, and maybe you only have a $9,000 or $10,000 balance left for the whole entire year. It may be worth taking out a private loan if you can get if you know you're going to be able to pay that back sooner, than taking out one of the loans that they're going to offer you through, the federal loan process. But the only thing is most time when you get loans through the federal loan process, you don't have to start paying those back until you graduate. So I think it's all a matter of figuring out what's going to be best for each person's particular situation. But what I recommend to my clients is if they are going to take out loans, through the federal process, that if you can't do anything else, just pay a little bit here and there on it. So that by the time it's really time for you to start paying it, you're paying on a lesser amount than what you actually took out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you get the jump on it. I see what you're saying. That does make sense.
Yeah.
But the goal, and if they call you, if they follow this roadmap to a full ride, then hopefully we're not going to have to be in all this debt.
That's the goal. That's the objective. And like I tell people all the time, I don't guarantee anything, but what I can say for sure is if you follow the roadmap that I have established, I've proven time and time again that it works. Because once again, I always say knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. So if you come and get the information from me and you don't do anything with it, then you're no better off than what you were before you even came. You still have to do the work.
Does that happen? Do they actually come to you and pick your brain and pay and resources and all that and still not do anything?
Not most of them, because what I would venture to say is most people who come to me are really serious and they're pumped up by the time they leave. But you can definitely see the results from one to another. Like, I have some people who call and say, oh my God, my daughter got such and such, and my daughter got such and my daughter got such and such. I know they've applied every single tool, and they've done everything I've told them to do, and they apply for every single scholarship that I sent. Because at the end of the day, if I'm giving you scholarships after I've done your preliminary reviewed your preliminary questionnaire and customized your consultation, that means I've given you scholarships that I know you're capable of getting. So if you don't apply for them, you're not going to get them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it all requires you to still do your part of the work. Malik didn't have over 1.2 million in scholarship offers because Publishers Clearinghouse came and knocked on the door. Right. He had all those offers because we were putting in the work. It was a team effort. We were tag teaming. He did his part. My husband did a part. I did a part. We made it a team effort where we all did something to ensure that we were covering every possible avenue so that he would have those options available to him.
So it's great to hear you say that the family teamwork, that's an important part of it, and that's an important part of it that makes it work, because working together as a family, that's strengthening so many different bonds there, and reaching those goals together, that is priceless.
It absolutely is priceless, and then it sets the structure and the foundation for hopefully what your kids will do when it's their turn to be parents to their children, you know?
So we're talking about generations of success. Just put it like that. We're talking about generations of success, just changing the narrative that we see today, with so many people are in angst about their student loans. They are, blocking certain numbers. They won't go to the mailbox, all of this kind of stuff because, and I'm not saying this flippantly, I'm saying, they really came up against a hard decision. I need to go to school. I need to get this degree, and I need to get this money, and now it's time for me to pay it back, and I'm barely eating. That's not easy.
It's not. It's not easy, and that's why I say we have to have a plan. And oftentimes we kind of just go through life so willy-nilly. I've always been a planner, and everything I plan don't always work out. But there is a plan, and there's a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I can honestly say to be where I am in my life at 46 years old, and it was a teenage mom at one point, I wasn't sure I would be where I am today, sitting here with an 850 credit score, retired at 46, money in the bank, stock, a house, have had several houses, just making sure my kids were good and lined up. One is very successful, doing his thing now, married with children, and my other one in his second semester of his junior year on Dean's List and has a business and is doing everything he needs to do at 19. And so it wasn't because we just fell into these things. It was because I was always planning and strategically thinking and figuring out the next way. And if that plan didn't work out, then okay, let's try this one. So in life, we have to be purposeful. We can't just expect, sometimes we see things or we see people with things and we're like, oh, I want that. Oh, I wish I could do that. Well, you don't always know what somebody went through to get it.
Now, what?
It hasn't been an easy road.
You have hit that. I have a friend, very dear friend in Hampton Roads, and he's told this story publicly. And he always wanted a Mercedes. And he did not get that Mercedes until his mother passed because she left one for him. And he would tell me, driving down the street, people really do look at you differently when you're driving that car. And that's exactly what he would say, Keisha. People don't know what I lost to get this car. Yeah. And it's all right to want things, but we don't have to have everything that we want. I mean, we really don't.
No, and that's not realistic either, to think that everything we want we're going to have. Right. That's not realistic, but I think because of so many celebrities and the way TV glamorizes everything and the way commercials are even ran now these days, our kids' minds are becoming warped at such an early age, and so they grow up thinking that everything is microwave, like it happens overnight, and they grow up thinking that, oh, well, she got this and she got this. Well, you don't always know what went on behind closed doors for someone to be able to get something or to do something,
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's exactly right. If you are just joining us, if you missed the first part of the show, I just want to introduce you to Keisha Hawkins. She has a marvelous business roadmap to a full ride, and you are recommending that if your child is a child that belongs at a college or university, you are recommending that parents begin a program as early as 6th grade, correct?
That is absolutely correct. Mm-hmm.
And why, again, the 6th grade? Break that down one more time.
So pretty much 6th grade is where kids can start taking certain classes where they can start, well, at least middle school in general. 7th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade is around the time frame where kids are able to start building their schedules to get credits for high school. So we all know that any credits you start accumulating gets you to whether or not you're going to do a standard diploma or an advanced studies diploma, which all of that transfers over to colleges you're going to be eligible to go to or programs you're going to be able to get into. So starting to plan out your children's future, I mean, if we're paying attention as parents, we kind of know whether or not our kid is going to be a kid who would more than likely be college material or a kid who will go into a trade. But if you know for sure that you have a child who will more than likely head to college, then the time to get started is middle school. Start mapping out exactly what they need to do, figuring out possible college options, starting to put any saving plans in place, just getting all the resources available so that you can ensure that your children have every opportunity to be successful for their high school career and then thereafter with going to college and coming out debt-free.
Can you quickly tell us one of your success stories that just brings a big old Kool-Aid smile to your face?
Probably, I won't use my own kid as an example, so I'll use another kid that I was talking about earlier during the show. They live in Delaware, and she was a mom who always had her kid in a lot of extracurricular activities and everything, and so they ended up doing homeschool. And so she just had no idea. She got referred to me from another friend of hers who had used our services. And that friend lived in Virginia, but she was in Delaware, so she wasn't really sure I would be able to help her. But after the first call, she was just, oh, my God, this has been amazing. And so she hired me 3 times. The first time was just to understand, what her son needed to be taking to finalize his high school career. And then the next time we were working on college applications and essays and things of that nature, because that's something else I didn't talk about. But I also do coaching for scholarship interviews and coaching for admission to colleges and universities. And I also help students who have a hard time writing, because we all know that writing is not everybody's gift. And that's the first thing people are going to see in order to get into a university is your writing skills, when you're writing your essay for admission to a college or university. So I also do that as well. But anyway, back to the story. So at that point, we started working on his college applications. There was only one college that he knew was his top pick. So while he was looking at others, this was his number one. And I actually got an email right before the holiday stating that he had gotten into his number one choice and that they had already offered him a significant amount of money. She wanted to see if she could get more. So then I coached her on how to go back and negotiate getting more money for him to go to school. That part is to be continued because I haven't heard back from her yet as to whether that part worked.
But just showing that,
but just showing that when you put in the work, what can absolutely happen, and like I said, I know my kid was a perfect example for people to see that it worked, having over $1.2 million in scholarship offers, but I wanted to show that can still happen for other children and families as well.
That is a wonderful story. Keisha Hawkins, thank you for joining us on Spartan Life Radio. Thank you for breaking all of this down and bringing us a roadmap to a full ride. And thank you for giving parents out there and students that are listening, giving them something that they can strive for, they can hope for. They know there's help out there. That's really important.
Absolutely. You are quite welcome.
Thank you. Now, are there some social media handles or websites you want to leave?
Absolutely. So I just started actually my business advertising on Instagram, and it's under Roadmap to Full Ride. You can find me on Instagram, or you can just follow me on my regular Instagram page, which is Keisha, Keisha, Hawkins, Hawkins. But I also have an official website for my company, and it's roadmaptofullride.com. And if you can't remember that, you can just go right in Google and type in Roadmap to Full Ride, and I am the only company that comes up.
Well, that works out just fine. You have done an outstanding job with this interview. I want to let you and the listening audience know. Coming up next, it's an interview I did earlier in the week. It's with a young lady that is well known in this area, and her daughter is well known throughout the world. A show came on Thursday night. It's called Women of the Movement. There are 5 more episodes that are coming on. I don't want you to miss it. It's produced by Jay-Z and Will Smith. Adrienne Warren is starring in this show. She's from the 757. She just won a Tony, Broadway's highest honor, portraying the life of Tina Turner. Well, her mother, Andrea Frazier Warren is going to join us next. Again, I recorded this, I taped this earlier in the week, but I'm sure that you all will love to hear what's going on with this, and you can still catch the series. So that's coming up next. Keisha, you're wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, that's it. Spartan Life Radio. You all check this out. I'm going to take a little bit break. When we come back, it will be Andrea Warren and talking about women of the movement. Don't go anywhere. It's Spartan Life Radio.
It's the new sound of Hot 91, the Soul of VA. You know, Cheryl, Braxton, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but so many years ago, a young 14-year-old boy from Chicago went to go visit with family in the South, as, you know, he did every summer. And he was just being a boy.
Yeah.
And at some point, on his uncle's door came a knock. And some white men came, and they pulled him out of the house. They carried him away, and they beat him into a point where you couldn't recognize his face. It was a famous picture. It was on the cover of Jet magazine. This young man's name was Emmett Till. His mother, in fact, while they wanted to have a closed casket, his mother said, "This is so horrible. They need to see what they did to my son." And that lynching in the South was never met with any justice. So Will Smith and Jay-Z and others who are out here producing films about our history here in America have decided to produce a series called Women of the Moment. And tonight that airs on ABC. Now, a young woman here in Virginia is going to be Emmett Till's mother in this film. And that young woman's mother, who once was the former executive director of the Governor's School of the Arts, which is a big deal here.
Yes.
Is with us this morning. We have with us Miss Warren, Miss Andrea Frazier Warren. Are you there, ma'am?
I am. Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Did I do this justice to open it up? Is that a good place for us to start?
Great intro.
Okay.
Oh, that was great. In fact, it gave me chills.
Well, I can say, because I will say, it's Women of the Movement. That's it, right? Women of the Movement.
Right.
Okay, but yeah, that's it. So, Andrea, welcome to the Hot Morning Show. We are so thankful that you have been able to join us this morning. So, your daughter just got off of Broadway. She just got off of Broadway winning a Tony for her appearance in Tina, talking about the life of Tina Turner. How did Jay-Z and Will Smith approach her about being in this series, or how did it unfold?
Well, a lot of it occurred in my house during, I think, the Christmas holidays. What happened, she did an audition with the director, and they really connected. And the director and the showrunner, who was also the writer, part of the writing team, auditioned her, and they liked what she presented. And so that has created this amazing opportunity. And I like to say that, God put her in the right place at the right time. For some reason, she has had the opportunity to just tell the story of a lot of our ancestors, from Tina to, working with Shuffle Along, and the two women that she told their story through that Broadway show, and she was nominated for a Tony for that. And now this, and I just think this is what she has been born to do.
One of the things that is amazing, and I suspect that this will be what your daughter will do in her career and will become her legacy. One of our greats, most recently, unfortunately, he passed away too soon, Chadwick Boseman. All he did was portray the lives of great African Americans. And your daughter doing Tina, and then doing the strong woman in Mrs. Till. This is, how, as pretty much as you said, that she's had a great run. This is how the legacy is born. And so honoring our historic past is critical and important. Let me ask you this. When you were the executive director of the the Governor's School of the Arts, I know you were watching your daughter. Did you see this as the path that she was going to take, that this is where she ultimately was going to go?
I had no idea. You know what? Ever since she was little, I had heard from people, first of all, that she's so gorgeous, which I didn't like, and that she has it. And I never understood what that it factor was. And I'm beginning to have a better understanding of what the it, and I'm using quotation marks, is. But I heard that ever since she was, doing her young life and as she was growing and developing, in governor's school, she worked hard. She never took shortcuts. She was also focused. She studied the art form because my husband and I, are coaches, so she took that as an opportunity to really use her athletics ability to really work hard and hone her craft, and that's how she got Tina and shuffled along. And she doesn't take challenges lightly, and she just goes at it head on. So I'm very proud. We're very proud of her.
And so tonight, what can we expect? It's on ABC. What time does it come on?
It comes on at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock tonight.
And it's also streaming on Hulu.
Oh, wow.
You will see a family. It tells how young, it starts with the birth of Emmett and how young and naive Mamie was just giving birth. And you see this young family, and he's convincing his mother, to go to Mississippi. And you can tell just looking at her face and her hesitation, she knew something was going to happen. Mamas have those instincts, and I think she had that instinctively that when he got on that train, that he may not come back.
That I can't even take that last statement. That's almost too much. That someone can trust that their child is supposed to come home to them, and you get a phone call that says that's not the case. I think what we also have to recognize that this was a pivotal moment in the civil rights movement. This was the heartbreak of America to see this photo go around. And the downside of all of that has had to happen is that somehow the blood of black people has to be spilled for change to come, right? We don't get the legislation that is the George Floyd Act without George Floyd being murdered. We didn't get the attention of the world without the Emmett Tills, without the dogs being sicked upon black bodies, the fire hoses, and
the students and the sit-ins. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So your daughter portraying and being a part of this is the continuation and the teaching of this history to a whole nother generation of people who may not know this. And I mean, I salute that.
Not only that, I think we need to really recognize the fact that our black men and some of our black women who are being killed, that it impacts more than them. Mm-hmm. It forces mothers to take a stand. And they don't want to do that. They didn't give birth thinking that they would have to advocate for their kids and demand justice for their child. I mean, I wouldn't hope that on anyone. Right. But that's what has happened, and it continues to happen. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see, how this young mother at age 33, 34, who lost her son, really had to step forward and take on that reign of saying, look, we have to, there's a line that she will say in this tonight, or maybe not tonight, but maybe next week, is that when it happens to one of us, it should be the business of all of us.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. If I can, Cheryl, I want to just change the course because we haven't given Adrian her flowers yet. Not in the way that I think let's put some respect on her name. She is a Tony Award winner.
It gives me chill bumps. You all just don't know. I stalk her on the internet, okay? You just don't know.
A Tony Award winner, right? So what does that mean that we have that level of greatness? And this is the part, because we just had the King Richard movie that Will Smith did, and we talk about Richard Williams and that he has raised two young ladies who are number one in tennis at their time individually. We know that there was a time when everybody celebrated Branford and Wynton Marsalis, but their father, Ellis Marsalis, was a genius as well. We have to not only give Adrian her flowers, but we salute you because you have given birth to this woman, not just physically, but this career that she has had, although she deserves all the awards and accolades that she's earning, it's because of strong people like you in her life, having a strong mother and a great foundation. So salute to you as well.
Oh, thank you. But I didn't do it alone. It's my husband, poor thing. I dragged him along. He dragged him along. But the hurrah players and the Governor's School for the Arts and this community, she started dancing with Gail Hart.
Oh, my goodness.
Dance company. So, everybody. And then the community that she created here, with her friends and family and school, Western Branch High School, Western Branch Middle School, Portsmouth Public School. That's where she started elementary school. So it's a village.
That can't be true. This can't be true. It can't be true that a woman named Gail Hart, who runs an academy in Portsmouth, is going to be a part of a Tony Award-winning, successful black woman. It can't be true that our Portsmouth public schools, the Portsmouth public schools can't, but they could never produce something like this. It can't be true that somebody right here from 757 is not only delivering excellence as a Tony Award winner, but also playing this pivotal role tonight on national television. These things just can't. This doesn't happen because black people don't have this type of greatness. They'll tell you that black people, I'm going to tell you right now, somebody told you wrong.
And you know what? I just want you, Andrea, to talk about the advocacy that Adrian is doing now off the stage.
Oh my gosh. I think my husband and I, we do a lot of work. We do a lot of support of young people, and from Broadway, it happened. It's so funny because she is one of the founders of Broadway Advocacy Coalition, and they were created because these kids, young kids, in the middle of a Broadway show, in the middle of rehearsal, are having a hard time dealing with what was happening in our world and what's happening to our black men. And so they wanted to do something. So they created a program. They wanted to use art to get the word out, to make change. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because they didn't even know what they were doing. Adrian bought a book that said 5013C for dummies to figure out how to do all this stuff. And this program, this thing they created has really blown up, and they're making changes in Broadway and wanting to see more black and brown faces at the table and in the room and making decisions, and they are really making change, and she's part of that as well as colleges are reaching out to her and saying, how can we do more within college and the arts and creating more equitable diversity for our students. So, yeah, she's pretty active. She's pretty busy doing it all.
She got that honestly, because if I talked about your whole family, we'd be here all day and all that you all do for people here in Hampton Roads and everywhere else. So, again, the episode, this is a 6-series episode. Do I have that right?
It is 6 series, so it'll be 2 hours for 3 weeks. From what I understand, they're even limiting the number of commercials because they really want you to see it in full. And let me please share that the direction. All of the directors were black women. The cast, amazing cast, but there are a lot of strong black women behind us, as well as the great producing team.
This is amazing because what we don't have, and the things that you said, we haven't had the kind of representation in Hollywood, in New York City, the way we need to. ABC, I have to salute. They did Blackish. They did this new Wonder Years series, which is a takeoff of the old Wonder Years, but with a black family. And in fact, they challenged us to watch some difficult images, the discussion of Martin Luther King's death, et cetera, et cetera. And this just rolled right into what your daughter is doing this evening with Women of the Movement. What time does it come on this evening on ABC?
It comes on at 8, but let me also share, Women of the Movement, they plan to next year maybe bring on another black woman who was a part of the civil rights movement. I'm not sure what that is or who that's going to be, but they plan to do this mini-series for several years.
That's excellent.
I'm excited about that.
Well, salute to Jay-Z and Will Smith for what they've done. Salute to you for how you've raised this phenomenal young lady. ABC for picking it up. And then, obviously, we have to give Adrian, all the flowers here. Tony Award winner and phenomenal actress who's starring in a phenomenal piece. I'm going to use phenomenal a couple of times because I love Maya Angelou, who also wrote Phenomenal Woman. So that's right. Everybody tune in tonight. If you have Cox, it's 13 WVEC. I don't know what it is on Verizon, but you got it. You'll find it. Find it, because this is important to watch.
Yeah, it's on 13 on Verizon too, but just know that right now, whoever owns the station or whatever they're negotiating with Verizon, so send out with all your messages to make sure everyone needs to see it. If you can't see it on Verizon, you can use the ABC app. You can also watch it on Hulu. Everyone needs to tune in. It's a beautiful story, and they have done an amazing job with it.
We thank you so much. Andrea Warren, say hello to your husband. Say hello to Adrian for us. We will all be tuning in tonight. And trust me, we'll be calling you again because your daughter is just going to the heights, and we want to follow her everywhere that she goes. What's up? What are you doing?
Would you adopt my daughter?
Maynard,
hey, just support whatever she loves doing. Just support and love her.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice.
All right. Thank you so very much. You stay safe and stay healthy. And again, like I said, we will be calling on you again. Andrea Warren, thank you so very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Love you guys.
Not a problem. There you have it, you all. It's called Women of the Movement. You got to check it out tonight at 8 p.m. I am so excited, Maynard.
I'm ready for it. In fact, I have the YouTube TV, and it's 13 on UTTV. I'm going to go in right now on my phone, fortunately, and go ahead and DVR it in advance because I need this. And not only do I need this, I need my 12-year-old daughter to see that
Correct.
This is a story that's important to us, as well as seeing us do important things.
That's right. It's the new sound of Hot 91, the soul of VA.